Greetings. The peace be upon you. Dr. Z here. I want to share with you today key number 2, communication, to everyday keys to happiness. And let's get into it. Key number 2, communication. We want to focus our attention on communication, which is the most important process in human life. The goal of communication is shared meaning. Just because we're talking or telling someone something doesn't mean we're communicating. Communication begins with a question and continues with listening and ends with an appropriate behavioral response. How do you know someone really listened to you? Isn't it when they respond appropriately in their behavior? Yes, thank you. At the heart of communication is physical hearing, internal listening with silence, paying attention, learning, and responding. Here's an idea of communication. There's a type of people who were obedient and trusted firmly in God, his angels, his books, and his messengers. They made no distinction between any of his messengers. And they said, we listened, paid attention, and obeyed. Grant your forgiveness, our guardian and sustainer. And to you is the journey. In other places, scriptural language states, and he said unto them, he that has ears to hear, let him hear. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. Take heed what you hear. With what you met. It shall be measured to you, and unto you that hear shall more be given. When God speaks, we should give the most careful and reverent attention. It is not enough merely to hear what God says. We must heed what he says. He who hears and heeds the voice of the Lord will find strength and stability for living. Yes. You know, this guidance is really wonderful. It's really it's great. We're talking universal laws here and principles. Let's continue the reading, though. But I want to say, you know, God breathed into us of his spirit, and he gave us hearing. That's one of these faculties, and that's what we've been talking about, hearing and sight. And what we hear and what we see goes down into our heart and gives us a feeling that then translates into our behaviors and what we do. And then that is what gives us the results that we attain through the grace of the Almighty. Let's get back to the reading. The hearer and knower of all things is communicating with his human creatures at all times. He wants us to pay attention, learn, and obey. When we obey his commands by doing the work he has called us to do to the best of our ability, then we will be happy. God's priorities for human beings are his commands for us. After completing the work we are created to do, then we ask for his acceptance. His completion and his acceptance are the priorities of our lives. We say, our sustainer accept this from us, for surely you are the listener and knower of all things. Amen. In this prayer, we see listening is connected to knowing. In order to gain knowledge, we must listen and pay attention. And if you scramble the word listen and rearrange the letters, you'll see the word silent. Silent externally and silent internally. This is the key to listening and paying attention. Communication is a process. At the top of the communication process is a question. It could be any question. Either the receiver or the sender will have a question. Questions bring about learning and clarity. Therefore, if you ask, Ask Almighty God. If you seek help for anything of your life, seek help from the life giver. This is the first step in communication as a key to everyday happiness because you are asking God for everything. The merciful provider listens, pays attention to your requests, and gives you everything you ask of him. And if you counted the favors of God, you absolutely cannot calculate them, not even with a calculator. Also, there's no way to repay him for these gifts and favors and blessings that we get every day. When you cry out deep within your soul, when comes the help of God? And many are crying out like that during these times. When comes the help of God? Ah, the help of God is always near. You see, that was a question and a response. Dear soul, give your response to God and his messenger when he calls you to that which will give you life. What will give us life? Isn't it the true education of God's words? Yes, thank you. And the human model of his messenger worthy of praise who brought the good news and the warning. The word is the same, yet it is good news for those who are obedient. But it is a warning for those who are disobedient and ungrateful. The word is the communication of God. Stages of communication. There are at least 3 stages of communication. The highest stage is communicating with the Almighty directly. We need no intermediaries, nor will we have any intercessors. Our relationship with the Most High is direct. The next stage is communication with one's soul, with one's own self. Psychologists tell us we talk to ourselves 70% of the time. But what is the conversation you're having within yourself? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it a conversation about the past? Identifying yourself with the past? Or is it a conversation about the future? Defining yourself by a new vision of the future that you want to have. It's a choice. The third stage is communication between people. And in communicating with oneself, one must listen to the good urges of the soul and follow the best thereof. To do that, one's got to pay close attention. Who and what are you listening to? The answer to this question will shape your learning and affect your heart. Why is this important? Because what's in your heart will affect your behaviors and results. If you're not getting the results you want, then I suggest you ask yourself, am I listening to God and obeying? Or am I listening to the whispers of one who whispers into the hearts and minds of mankind from among non-physical beings and from among people? I have to ask myself and encourage you to ask yourself, am I fully paying attention to God, his angels, his books of guidance, mercy, and healing, and his messengers? Or am I learning from those who learned the word but resisted, defied the Almighty in their disobedience? There are many people who refuse to fulfill God's commands. They are arrogant, become ungrateful, and they are liars. We have to pay close attention to what we are asking for and how we listen and learn, because in any moment we are connecting either in a positive or a negative direction. The enemy will assault you from ways you cannot see him coming. Where is that? From the right, from the left, from the front, from the back. Also, you will be attacked from within your own self. If you let the negativity in through your ears, eyes, and mouth, then your hearts will become diseased by the messages of the ungrateful, defiant, disobedient people. The other choice is to learn the word of the most merciful benefactor, the most merciful redeemer, and allow your heart to be healed by the guidance and his mercy. Yes. So we'll keep this short. We'll stop here. This will be part 1 of key number 2, communication. Look out for the next video, part 2. Thank you.